Hello my friends and welcome back and happy Thursday to you. One more day, only one more day to go until Friday and then it's party. In USA, I was with the Protest Foundation who are responsible for making prosthetics for Ukrainian troops in America who have lost their limbs and arms or legs. They're flown into USA, they're giving the prosthetic, they're trained and then they're sent back. And I played some accordion to them and I want to enjoy it with you to make your day a bit better. Check this out. So this is Hej Sokoli, a Polish version, but of course there's a Ukrainian version. Did you think that's the only song we played? No, we played for a long time. Check this out. Bidmaloa, very good Ukrainian song. We sang a lot of them. I played a lot of accordion on my Northern American trip. It was so much fun. My friends, now we begin with serious topics on Ukrainian war. As you remember in my previous video, yesterday's video, Ukraine struck Russian troops gathering point in Donetsk region. On the videos, which I couldn't show, and they were in the description below, I couldn't show them. On the videos, you could already count 65 KIA all piled up in one place. Cannot show it at all, but supposedly there are even 200 KIAs. You could see drone was up above, you could see the clusters of men down running around, and kaboom! Demilitarized, knocked out cold. Now this happened again. It happened in Donetsk, right? But now it happened in southern Ukraine, in Oleshki sands. I'll zoom in on a map. You see, this is Kherson and this is Oleshki, and all across Oleshki there are these sand dunes or sandy places. I don't know, sandy fields, however you call them. I'll take a risk here and show you some footage, not the explosion, only the footage before the explosion. As you can see, men are here, here are 4 dudes walking, and here are about, what, 20 lads just standing on the sand. You can see a lot of the guys just standing around here. Oh, like this is 15-20 kilometers from the front line and guys are lining up on an open field like that. Training grounds before charging on KRYKY. That's what it is actually. This is right before the HIMARS hit them. And we're talking about HIMARS, we're talking about one shot, one HIMARS missile with 180,000 small tungsten balls that go pew, 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 pew across and through everything. Especially they love the occupiers, so they will make these guys into red mist and I cannot show it to you. Here we have right before they gathered, we can see a long line of dudes. I'm telling you, all of these guys, all of these occupiers were sent to meet with their maker, were knocked out cold, were sent to sleep with the fishes, were sent 6 feet under, were sent to push up some You get the point, they're all gone. I can just show you the moments before, that's it, nothing else. About 60 Russian soldiers were KIA on this one. It's the second one in 2 days. My friends, Ukrainians have pulled out of AVDIIVKA and Russians have now fully occupied it with enormous losses. But what are they doing in AVDIIVKA? Why was that settlement so important to them? Well, we have an answer to that question because TikTok. Let's see it. Russians in AVDIIVKA. Что делаем, блядь? What are we doing here? What's the goal? They have found a washing machine. I mean, AVDIIVKA is fully destroyed. We have all seen the drone footage, but they have still managed to find the washing machine. 2 years later, they're still looting for washing machines. Putin, can't you just guide your country in a way that people can afford washing machines? Is that so difficult? Look, new washing machine, Ooga Booga, what? Let's get it to Russia, which is what, 1,000 kilometers. These guys, wherever they're from, Buryatia or any other ethnic minority in Russia, because if they're not an ethnic minority, then they possibly might have a washing machine. If they're an ethnic minority, they're about 1,000 kilometers from their home. So how are these Ooga Boogas going to get this washing machine 1,000 kilometers from AVDIIVKA to Russia? What's the plan? I don't know. They're gonna carry it, of course. Ivan must think. Carry washing machine. Very smart. Carry it home to Buryatia. Ебать, блядь. My friends, now every time I try to make these videos, and my goal is to give you information, to keep you on the right side of history and to fight against Putin's narratives on this war. And what is Putin's victory? It is when people are tired, when people get emotionally distanced from this war because it's depressing. Now, my goal is the opposite. You watch this war and you get a little bit giggles. You get a little bit funnies out of it because otherwise there's no way to win. We gotta stay positive, we gotta keep the spirits up, but then I have to apologize for the next video. It's a bit hard to watch, my friends, so let's bear through it because I think it's a necessary message. And again, before we watch the video, I do wanna say thank you to every last one of the allies for Ukraine. This includes the United States. A lot of people wanna blame the US. I don't. I wanna thank the US for having done so much for Ukraine. That's it. No blaming game. Putin wins from every blame, every finger pointing in the West. Only winner is Putin. So if you feel like you want to blame somebody in the West, don't. Let's focus on how we can make things better. Let's watch the video.
I'm ashamed to be a Westerner. I'm ashamed to be a Westerner. I'm talking to planet Earth today. I'm talking to Western governments today. On behalf of my Commander-in-Chief, President Volodymyr Zelensky of the sovereign, peaceful nation of Ukraine, I'm absolutely ashamed to be a Westerner today. What in God's name do you think you people are doing, drip-feeding and delaying this desperately needed ammunition for Ukraine? What are you trying to achieve? Do you not know that God sees everything that you are doing? Do you think there are 77 virgins in paradise waiting for you? There ain't, mate. There ain't. There is no paradise like that. Tens and tens and tens of thousands of civilians have been butchered and are being butchered in this genocide, and yet you people just dilly and dally and pussyfoot around. God help me, I'm ashamed to be a Westerner. I'll stop calling myself South African because that shitty government aligned themselves with Putin. Everybody in this country asks me, where am I from? And I say, I'm British. I'm talking to all Western governments today. I'm a medic in Ukraine, and we are shitting ourselves over here. The fucking front line is crumbling left, right, and centre. How dare you dilly and dally like this? Imagine these were your children being butchered out here. Put yourself in Ukrainian shoes for once. Get your act together, man. Your policies and your bullshit. Fucking support this country. We are being terminated, exterminated. I'm ashamed to be a Westerner.
Now this goes against what I usually show on this channel because my goal here is not to traumatize, not to sow fear, not to make people depressed or sad, not to make them apathetic towards war. My goal is to give information and a good feeling because that's the only way we can support Ukraine. Now this video was hard to watch for me also. And all you see about me in these videos, I'm in Estonia. If Ukraine loses, I lose. I want to be dead. That's the reality. I'm going to be shot by the Russians. That's my future if Ukraine loses. So, and yet I'm here smiling at you and doing this. So I agree with the message of this video. I don't agree with the delivering and the style of it because it makes people defensive and it makes me also defensive. You have to defend against this bad feeling. So I don't blame anybody, but just to illustrate the situation in Ukraine, also to bear in mind not to blame the West, but to focus on getting better. The West needs time. They take time. Democratic nations in World War II and World War I, both instances took time and in the end won. This is the peculiarity of democracy. They take time, but when they get going, they're the most powerful force, military force, economic force in the world. So let's just focus and keep our focus on the right path and let's not blame each other. Let's help each other. Now, my friends, a completely different topic. There's a Russian military blogger, a very famous Russian military blogger called MURZ. After AVDIIVKA was occupied by the Russians, the losses were so enormous that MURZ could not keep quiet anymore. MURZ officially made a public blog post, and he's a Russian military blogger that, if I'm not mistaken, has even met Putin. He made a public blog post after the capture of AVDIIVKA. The Russians lost, in his estimate, 17,000 KIAs taking that settlement. 70,000, and that's a Russian military blogger estimate. We're not talking about the wounded casualties or missing. That's only KIAs. Now, this is the information that Russian propagandists have been advised by Putin to keep secret. No matter what, don't publish it, because the losses are so damn big, it's unsustainable. Putin knows it. Everybody knows it. This information cannot be publicized. Now, MURZ published it, and you know what happened? He committed a suicide. Yesterday, he committed a suicide. He was found dead. I'm not sure how he did it, but I can only assume that he jumped out of the window or shot himself in the back of the head 5 times. That's the only way in Russia. So this illustrates what does it say to us? Why? Okay, he went against he went against the rules of propaganda to publish their own losses, but if they kill their own military blogger for the fact that he published the true information about Russian losses, what does it say? It says that the situation is very dire for the Russians, otherwise they wouldn't care about publishing it. They cannot let the population see how much they're losing, how many men are dying, because they have a huge bluff to hold on. Their whole bluff is that we don't care about the losses, we can keep them coming, and the West will run out of steam. In reality, the Russians are also running out of steam, but they cannot show it. It's a big poker game. Putin is with the poker glasses, you know. And MURZ just called his bluff. So MURZ shot himself in the back of the head for 5 times now, and then jumped out of the window, and then also wrote a suicide note. There's actually a note. The thing is, killing such military bloggers after such blog posts leaves a very bad stain on the Russian military, meaning they have a lot to hide. Now, on connected note, how many Russian men are right now in occupied Ukraine? According to GUR, the size of the Russian ground forces contingent amassed against Ukraine is 470,000 soldiers. So let's round it up, because it's, why not 500,000 soldiers? 500,000 troops. Now, not all of them are in occupied Ukraine. Some of them are on Ukrainian northern border in Russia. Some of them are in occupied Crimea. But altogether, 500,000 troops. Most of them are in Donbass and in southern Ukraine and in Kherson Oblasts. In Kupiansk and AVDIIVKA alone, we get about 200,000 or more troops. These are the main axes of attack. The thing is, 500,000 troops. Russia started this invasion with close to 200,000 troops, and they started with 3 different axes, the whole country. This goes to show how big of a blunder it really was. Now they have 500,000 and they're still not able to really push. AVDIIVKA was 10 square kilometers or 4 square miles. It's nothing. It's a very, very small area, and the front lines are holding right now. They're not crumbling like the man said in the previous video. It's not the truth. Not the truth that I'm hearing on why I'm in Ukraine. Now, my friends, some good news, and we have been talking about F-16 for almost a year, but actually in the span of 4 to 5 months, these fighters will be in Ukraine. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that when Ukraine receives F-16 fighter jets from its allies, it will have the right to self-defense, including striking legitimate Russian military targets outside of Ukraine. Yes, I've been wanting to hear that for so long, because the NATO country leaders, they gotta grow some balls and say that Ukraine can use our weapons for military targets in Russia. No country except for Great Britain and France have right now allowed it. They have allowed only in occupied Crimea, of course, but I see any NATO weapon being allowed to use inside Russia, also because the war in Ukraine is possible because of military facilities in Russia. You gotta eliminate them. Sometimes it's easier to eliminate targets in the deep rear of the enemy than in the front lines. That's the case right now with Ukraine. They're striking Russian factories every day, but it's quite difficult to push through the Surovikin line. But if you eliminate the factories, if you eliminate the oil refineries, there will be no more Surovikin line. That's how it is. It's a war of logistics. So this Jens Stoltenberg message right now, that the F-16 can wreak havoc in the rear of the enemy, beautiful. My friends, yesterday, Shoigu, the defense minister of Russia, reported officially and on camera to Putin that the KRYKY bridgehead, you know, the very small Ukrainian bridgehead, the 300 Spartans, because actually it is 300 to 500 Ukrainian Marines who are holding that bridgehead and holding back and tying up 10,000 Russian troops. Shoigu reported yesterday that this bridgehead have been pushed back and Russians actually recaptured the bridgehead and the KRYKY settlement. Now here are Russian troops, Russian Marines right next to being, tomorrow they're going to attack this bridgehead. They are here to tell the real situation. And it is very telling because if your minister of defense directly lies to your president or dictator, then what does it say about your faith if you are the guy who has to strike the bridgehead that supposedly has already been captured? This says that these guys will not make it and that they will be sent as cannon fodder until the bridgehead is captured. And these guys are not very happy about it. Let's watch the video. Let's start with the fact that we have learned that we are now in Russia, in the Russian Federation. They're talking about the fact that, sorry, I paused already, but there's so much to speak here. These guys are obviously in occupied Ukraine. But since if you're in occupied Ukraine, the Russian Minister of Defense is by law obliged to pay you like 3-4 times more money. If you're not in occupied Ukraine, you're in Russia, they don't have to pay you that money. So what they do is they register the guys as being in Russia, but the guys are actually in occupied Ukraine in a war zone, so they don't get paid the right amounts and then they're sent as cannon fodder. So bad, and even worse. How did we find out? Some servicemen began to block the accounts of judicial staff. The judicial staff made a request to the Ministry of Defense. The Ministry of Defense replied that we are not on the special military operation. So imagine you're in a war zone, you're right next to the Ukrainian trenches, you're like, hey, good morning, my neighbor. And the guy's like, fuck you. You see the Ukrainians. And then you're a Minister of Defense and Ministry of Defense send you a letter that you are not there. Don't fool yourself. You're not in war. We're not going to pay you the war wages. About the islands, he said, we're talking about the Dnipro Islands, very important position. Whoever controls these islands controls the future potential and possibility to strike deeper into Russian-occupied southern Ukraine from these islands. If the Russians control these islands, they could strike into Ukrainian Kherson Oblast. About the islands, he said, the islands are located on the Dnieper River. If you look at the map, it is from the village of KRYKY a little forward. They end the enemy. The islands are not occupied by us. I even love how they say occupied by us. If I say there's two versions, you know. Ukrainians liberate, Russians occupy. And even on Russian military maps and the wording of Russian soldiers, they don't say we liberated, they say we occupied. And Russian military maps always show Russians as the red and Ukrainians as the blue. Red is always the bad, blue is always the good, and everywhere, everybody knows that. So the Russians, like, have you seen this meme of British guys made this like funny video of playing Germans in World War III? It's like, are we the bad guys? Are we the baddies? Oh my God. Are we, like, they have skulls and everything. Like, we have skulls. Like, are we the bad guys? Skulls are bad. Like, these guys say we occupy. They show themselves as red. I mean, I'm pretty sure they begin to understand that they are the baddies. I don't know who said, who came up with it, who gave such a command to the islands occupied by us. The point is they're not there, you know. People are actually thrown at the meat. They are beaten with mortars, they're beaten with AGCs, shooting battles, people die in an attempt to get there. A tank or AGC hit a boat or a mortar, it is not clear. 7 people just went to the bottom, risking their lives to go there. 2 boatmen, 5 of them were just blown up. They were just blown up, they were just... Sorry, the subtitles are repeating. But not like that. They are written off, as I understand, they just lost their lives or something like that. Yeah, so these guys are officially not in occupied Ukraine. And 7 people went under the waves to the bottom of the sea because AGS hit the boat. they're written off. What does it mean? If a soldier dies in a special military operation, southern occupied Ukraine, for example, their relatives get a lot of money and a lada and some like onions or something. If they don't die, if they're not written as in the special military operation zone, if they die officially in Russia, their relatives get nothing. So Putin does not have an abundance of money. He doesn't want to pay these tens of thousands of relatives this huge amount. We're talking billions of USD in combined, reparations they have to pay. So they write the guys off who went under the wave, 7 guys. They write them off as, oh, they died in Russia doing military exercises. Nobody gets nothing. That's what's going on. People get wounded there. They can't get out. They can evacuate for 2 days. People rot under shelling. In short, we were thrown. It turns out that our command gives false information. So these are the troops. These are the meat, the very first pawns, frontline soldiers. If they say Minister of Defense giving report to Putin, that means their commanders are feeding up the chain false information. For what? To get promoted? To not get killed? For fear, whatever reason they're doing this, these guys have to pay for it. And they see Minister of Defense spreading lies to dictator. It takes their motivation right away. My friends, after the death of Navalny, I will call it as it is, after the murder of Navalny by Vladimir Putin, US is announcing new sanctions on Friday, but the European Union already announced new sanctions. Both of these countries or entities are announcing big packets of sanctions. Now, I know people are now clicking away, getting sick. Oh, sanctions, they don't do nothing. People want tanks in Moscow. People want nuclear warheads exploding in St. Petersburg. They want Russia to burn. My friends, if we do it like that, we could. The collective West could. We have the capabilities to do it like that. But then they will rise up again. Sanctions, what they do, what's the beauty of it, is that Russia will slowly get worse. And Putin is playing the game to its own people that sanctions are not hurting us. But people see life going worse, and it's going worse under Putin. Bad, worse, horrible. And it's all under Putin because sanctions are not hurting us. The West is not doing this for us. So people see themselves that their system is rotten. If you, as a foreign enemy, the West is a foreign enemy for Russia, go and attack Moscow, they have a reason to, in 3 generations, fight back, stand up, revolutionize, whatever they want to do. And it happens all again. If you really want to destroy the idea, and ideas are the most dangerous, they cannot be attacked with tanks. You gotta let this idea be destroyed by the people themselves. And this only happens if they see how rotten their system is. And sanctions are perfect for it. They're a slow weapon, they're a very effective weapon, and they take time, but they are efficient, thorough, and it's very hard to come back from them. So I do trust the sanctions. If you want more bloody means, of course, send the weapons to Ukraine. I'm all for that. But sanctions must continue, and they must be imposed, and they must be enforced. Now, the European Union agreed on Wednesday to slap Russia with a new round of sanctions, which for the first time, and this is great, check this out, target companies in mainland China. Woohoo! Yeah, I love to hear this. Suspected of helping Kremlin get hold of forbidden items. This is beautiful. China is also now in the list, so they are really starting to feel the pressure of Putin prolonging this war, and they're playing 2 games. They're supporting Putin, and they're selling drones to Ukraine, like thousands, tens of thousands per month actually to Ukraine. So they're playing both games, but now they're going to feel the pain of supporting Putin, and they don't feel the pain of supporting the West because the West pays good money. Russia doesn't. China loves money. This is how it is. Yes, I'm saying that again, and fix me in the comments if I'm wrong. The Communist Party of China and Communist China love money. How communist are they in the end? Everything is about economics, and the West has money. Now, my friends, this video is 2 days old, but it's so beautiful. It's like if you have your popcorn left, just now it's time to eat it. It's just so pretty. It's an eye candy. Ukrainian military personnel from the presidential brigade destroyed Russian equipment in the hangar. It's just, oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. I will read it to you and then we'll watch it. 2 C-16 installations based on SIL, 2 T-72 tanks. BMP-3. Rare Terminator, armored combat vehicle. Yeah, the new Russian Wunderwaffe. Gazelle, 2 Urals from BC. Now, these were just in a hangar, just standing there. Let's see. Ukrainian drone is flying. This is the first one, by the way. It just discovers it. Oh, goes in the hangar. What do we have here? Party for armored vehicles. Just chilling here. Ooh, what are we going to do with them? Doesn't know what to do, looks around, finds a Terminator. Very rare Russian vehicle that is not that good, actually. And, I don't know, let's let it... Oh, okay, connecting to it. Bada beam, demilitarized. Now, it is the second drone. They're beginning to send a whole fleet of drones there because this warehouse is a gold mine. Yeah. We're sending a second drone. Boom, straight into the tank. Third drone, BMP-3, boom, straight into it. Fourth drone, this is beautiful. T-72, the other side. Bada bim, bada boom, knocked out cold. And now the warehouse is on fire and it's not over yet. The Undertaker is flying in. This is like a wrestling match, honestly. Flying in, it's super hot, it's like 1,000,000 degrees inside, smoke everywhere, the screen is flicking. What are you gonna do? You're still gonna find yourself a self-propelled howitzer. That's what's up. You found it and boom, connected to it. I can't. This is so perfect. In this video today, we see again HIMARS demilitarizing Russians without them even getting to the trenches. Very good. Now we see Russian equipment being destroyed in a warehouse. What is this? Another one? Oh my God, how many of these? Okay, now you can see the huge kaboom going on. Whew, this was pretty. I needed that in my day. I don't know about you, but this really made me feel better. My friends, I recently found out, and I have been a YouTuber for 10 years, and I only now found out that you have to push the bell notification. It's a shameful thing. If you subscribe, then YouTube doesn't show my videos. If you push the bell notification, you will see them every time I upload. So please do. Everybody else is asking for it, and I kind of didn't know why, but now I understand. So yeah, subscribe and the bell notification, then you'll see my videos. It's all good and lovely, and we'll laugh again tomorrow. Until my next video, which will be tomorrow, my friends. Stay cool, stay happy, stay smiling, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.